going to look at the mental health contributor, connecting. Bettina.
So, socially connected people are happier, they're healthier, and they live longer. So it's an amazing study actually to come out of Harvard, where they literally followed the same people for 50 years. Wow. And they were getting measures of their lifestyle and of their relationships and over those 50 years. And what they found was that the key determinant to physical health, mental health and happiness was the quality of your relationships. Over and above smoking and diet and exercise. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So relational health really is wealth. I mean, another way of putting it is that people have kind of estimated that on average a warm relationship with your parent will result in a £60,000 per annum more than those who have a cold relationship with their parent. Obviously, it's an estimate, but it just gives you an idea.
Yeah.
So it's really invaluable. It's something to really focus on and think about. It should be top of your list as a parent to think about strengthening connection and relationships with your child and helping them to do the same with other people. The other thing that's I think is really interesting is the power of human connection, and we have an enormous impact on each other's brains just when we interact. Yeah. So just by the words that we use, saying I love you or I hate you, for example, we have an impact on things like breathing rate, heart rate. So it's almost like you can input in a good way and in a bad way to another person's brain and well-being. So I think we'll come on to the implications, but I think it has implications for how you talk to your children in particular. There's one other study that I just want to talk about in relation to that, which is these amazing studies where they put people in MRI scanners. So they're literally scanning the brain when they get them to do things. And they do something called a cyberball game, where you're playing a game of catch with two other people. Okay. And then suddenly the other two people leave you out. So it emulates social exclusion. And what they found was that what happens in the brain when you are socially excluded is that your brain experiences it the same way as physical pain. So not being invited to a party is experienced at the brain level the same way as cutting your leg.
Even though you dismiss it sometimes, wouldn't you? So you think, oh, come on, it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things you might be asking yourself then, as you're sitting here, which really relates to the third bit of the science, is what can I do? What's the best thing to do when my child is in emotional pain? And there is now a lot of science showing that this idea of being with children, coming alongside them, validating their emotional experience is very, very powerful at the brain level. We can actually calm the threat levels and the emotional parts of their brain just by coming alongside, even naming the emotion. I can see that you're really struggling.
So not fixing it.
Just not fixing it, exactly. And it's so tempting to fix it as a parent. But so being with, naming the emotion would be the third bit of science that I'd really want to focus on in relation to connecting.
Okay, and then how might that translate then into a home context?
Yeah, so again, as we've talked about a lot, really think about developing your relationship with your child. It's very, very important. Offer them a space for conversation, a regular space where you can really connect with them and understand them. It is a bit of a model and a template for all the relationships that they'll go on to have in their life. So it's one to really think about.
I've thought of it like that,
no
pressure.
I don't want to overwhelm you. Yes. Yeah. And I think part of that is helping them supporting them with their friendships, but also being able to work through the difficult things. Do you know something like 70% of interactions between people are conflictual? In a typical relationship, it's normal for us to have conflict. So teaching your children how to manage that is important.
Rather than brushing over it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as was implied when we talked about the science, be careful of the words and language that you use with your children and take social pain very seriously, particularly in the teenage years when their friendship and peer integration is so important to them.
They remember everything as well, don't they, those words?
Yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of implementing this idea of being with, again, you just touched on it, but we want to kind of erase emotional pain, don't we? Or we can't stand it when our child is angry. But what we have to do is to allow them to feel the feeling that they're feeling. We can't stop them feeling it. Separating that out from the behaviour. So, it's not okay to be rude when you feel angry, but I get that you feel angry, that you can't go to the party.
Yeah.
Or if they're feeling sad about something, coming alongside them with that pain, not trying to kind of fix it.
Suppress it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Does it come up later on, if you kind of just quash it?
Yeah, I mean, what we want to do is to protect our children from emotional pain, but actually we need to prepare them to manage emotional pain because it's part of life.
Yeah, okay, that's really helpful. I think then, so maybe the question is, or one of the questions, bearing in mind how busy our lives are, when can you make space, that intentional space for conversations, to make sure that it takes priority, to nurture and strengthen relationships within your family? And secondly, think about a time when your child was struggling emotionally, and consider what you might do differently now that you've heard this new science.
So you've had the 3 bits of science, you've had the 2 questions. Think about one thing that might resonate with you, and what would you like to change based on what you've heard in this video.